Together with American songwriter, we had the opportunity to talk to Kaylin West, aka Tiny Stills.
Adam was able to talk to Tiny Stills over the phone. Check out her new song, Craigslist Bed.
Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and Facebook page at Bringing It Backwards and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bringing Back Pod.
We'd appreciate your support if you follow and subscribe to our podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're bringing it backwards with Tiny Stills.
Hey, Adam, it's Kaylin.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, oh my gosh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I checked out your stuff. I love it. And I saw like all the influences you have and people you've opened up for. Awesome. Motion City Soundtrack
thanks.
and
Yeah.
Anthony from Bayside. Those are some of my faves, so that's awesome.
Well, awesome. Yeah, me too. So thanks.
Very cool. Yeah, so our podcast is about your journey in the music industry and how you got to where you are today, and starting Tiny Stills, and we'll go from there.
That sounds awesome.
Cool.
I'm into it.
All right. So your number's from Pennsylvania. Are you from Pennsylvania originally?
Yeah, I sure am.
I
I've
did
had the
read that
same
you
phone number my whole life.
Have you? That's awesome. I was
I
going to say,
sure
I saw that you, one of the bios said that you're from LA. So I didn't know if you're living in LA or maybe that's just wrong information.
No, it's correct information, but the thing is, like, it's weird to be. I mean, a lot of people in LA are transplants, but I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania, spent my whole life there, so I'm not from there anymore. I've been here 10 years, but it's a hard question to answer where you're from, because I miss Pennsylvania. I love it there, but I mean, I've been working out here on the West Coast and living here and operating for 10 years, so
Nice.
I don't know. I still love Pennsylvania things. So.
Yeah, tell me about growing up there.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, it was the suburbs. We did a lot of fun things outside. We did a lot of playing in the dirt. We did a lot of like playing shows at like hall shows and like very DIY, like kind of like at people's houses. So I kind of just grew up around that scene of music, but also like just kind of I don't know, not very pretentious, just whatever, you want to go hang out by the river and have fun. Let's go,
Sure.
hang out and go tubing or something. So it was like my childhood was very happy in that sense, where I just got to run around the country and like, have fun as a kid. Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's very different than LA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get into music?
So my sister, who is much older than me, and much cooler than me, gave me a guitar that she had gotten as a Christmas gift from an ex-boyfriend, like in 1986. I think it was. She got this guitar and she gifted it to me in like, the late 90s. And that was kind of how I started playing, is because I got this guitar. And so I kind of wanted to figure out how to play it and play songs. Like I wanted to play Green Day songs. I wanted to learn how to, I basically wanted to be Green Day.
That's awesome.
I was like, I'm going to try to do it. So I got a gift. And
was that the first band that you got into, Green Day?
Oh my God. My first band that I got into was Britney Spears, for sure. As a kid, I had some interesting tastes in music, but she got me into Operation Ivy and Green Day, and like she got me into some more punk stuff, because she, like I said, she was always way cooler than me. So she was out of the house by the time I was learning guitar, but she sent me a mixtape for my 13th birthday and was like, let me show you the ways. And so ever since then, I've just been trying to be as cool as she is.
Yeah. What was on that mixtape? The Up Ivy and Green Day stuff?
Oh my God. It was like Michelle Shocked and Ani DeFranco, and Tom Waits and Operation Ivy, and just like things that you should kind of know. I think as like a kid, I really dug deep into it. But yeah, I used to love the music she showed me. I just wanted to be as cool as she did, as she was,
So you start learning guitar, and when did you start a band? Did you start a band, or are you writing songs independently? What was next for you?
Yeah, I was really bad at playing Green Day songs actually when I first started, and I decided that, I couldn't do what they did, but I could be myself pretty okay. So I started just writing songs in open tunings, actually, is kind of where
Hmm.
I started. And because it was easier, it was hard to like play power chords. Anyone who, plays guitar knows that's kind of like, you know, when you get up into those more complicated chords and you're moving around, your hand starts hurting. And so I was
Sure.
like, well, I'm going to do open tunings and start writing my own songs. So I was actually, my first band ever was just me and a drummer. And I played a lot of open tunings, and it was kind of, it was this weird kind of post indie rock. It kind of ended up being that.
Hmm.
And then kind of transitioned into bluegrass. I had a bluegrass phase where I was in a jazz band, a jazz trio that played like Django Reinhardt jazz,
Oh, wow.
bluegrass music. And we were a trio, and we would tour around Pennsylvania. We played bars, so we weren't 21 yet, but we would be able to go in and play and perform and get paid for that because we were the musicians. So we would go around bars and we play.
Wow. How did you, was that a high
Yeah.
school band? Or how old were you
Yeah.
when that?
So
Whoa.
I was in high school when I was playing kind of like jazz, like that jazz. I called it jazz grass because I thought I was cool. But it was me and two other girls, and we had a fiddle player and upright bass player, and then I played guitar,
Hmm.
and we just wrote like chunky, fun jazz stuff, and you know, it was cool though. And then kind of eventually went to college for music. I started studying it more, and I studied engineering.
Hmm.
So, music production and engineering for 4 years. And then I moved to Los Angeles, hoping I could work in the studios here and become a producer,
Hmm.
but did not happen that way. And I decided I wanted to keep playing and writing music and performing instead of kind of forming other people's
Right.
versions of doing it for themselves. So it was hard to keep both of those dreams alive. So I kind of dug my heels into the one, and that kind of made Tiny Stills happen. Eventually, as kind of my full time focus.
Hmm.
But I've been playing in so many bands since I was a kid. Oh my God, so many basements in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
played everything. I was so hungry for it as a kid.
Hmm. And then you got to
Yeah.
LA, and you said it didn't work out with the production stuff, or you just weren't that into it.
Well, it was really, really hard to be a runner at a studio. And the
Hmm.
hours were really demanding, and you got paid, if anything, nothing. Like very, very little. It was hard to be working that much to be a runner and have any other kind of life.
Hmm.
So I lived in a punk house in West LA, or sorry, mid city. I'm
Hmm.
confusing all my, doesn't matter. But I was living in this punk house with like 5 other people who I all went to college with, and we were all doing music. And one of them was a runner, um, and at the Village, and I watched how hard he worked and how little time he had to do anything else, and I just thought it would just suck my whole life away.
Hmm.
And there was no upward trajectory. They weren't letting anyone engineer things. It wasn't like you could kind of move up to be an engineer where then you were running sessions, and if you were, there was a very weird like hierarchy of how you got to do it. And I just
Sure.
thought, I'd rather be doing it. I'll do it on my own. I'll work on my own music, I'll write my own music, and maybe eventually if someone else likes it, maybe then I can start producing and engineering for other people. If I can, somehow find a way to carve my own, reputation in my own way, then
Hmm.
maybe people will go, oh, she knows. Maybe I could trust her with my art. If I could prove I could do it on my own. So I just feel like it's a roundabout way of maybe eventually getting there. It's how I am at, like how I a lot of musicians I respect have kind of done it that way too.
Uh-huh.
So I just wanted to pursue my own music, and eventually I'll come back to engineering. I'll come back to producing. And
Hmm.
right now I just focus on myself.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
And then you just
Yeah.
started focusing fully on Tiny Stills at that point.
Yeah. My story is a little bit um it's a little bit crazy. So that punk house I told you about,
Mm-hmm.
I was living with a bunch of musicians at the time. I was in a band with another member of that household. And I was working at a bakery
Okay.
down the street, and we got robbed, and I got held up at gunpoint in, I
The
think it was like
bakery?
2012. Yeah, at a bakery. So
Oh
our
my
bakery got robbed,
gosh.
which it's crazy to think about it because bakeries don't have a ton of money. I mean,
Mhm.
gun violence was really kind of starting, gun violence was a big problem then at that point, but it was really the beginning of, we were seeing all these horrible things kind of happen in the media,
Uh-huh.
but for me, I had a very intimate understanding of gun violence after 2012, and it changed um, the way I could operate on a day-to-day basis. It was incredibly traumatic,
Oh
and
yeah.
living in that house, it just wasn't going to work for me. So that band ended up breaking up, probably in direct response to how much I could handle at the time,
Right.
emotionally. And I moved out on my own. And so
Wow.
after that, I started writing by myself a lot. And
Mhm.
that was really the beginning of Tiny Stills, was when I was writing alone a lot.
Wow. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
held up at gunpoint when I lived in San Francisco, and it's like,
Were you?
yeah,
Whoa.
there's no way to explain it to somebody unless they've
Yeah.
been through it. I mean, it's scary. So,
Well, if you don't mind me asking, like, was your situation, were you out at night,
yeah, I was
or
out in the
was it?
middle of the night with my buddy and walking back to his house, and we had to get. I'm sure you're familiar with San Francisco as an
Mhm.
artist, but like, so we had to get through. We had to essentially walk through the Tenderloin to get to where he lived,
Mhm.
because it was past the BARTs and stuff aren't running, so we're like, oh, we'll just walk.
Right.
And yeah, I got stopped. Ended up actually it was weird because we're getting bothered by this homeless guy the whole time, and he's like, bugging us for money, My buddy's like, fine, like, if you stop bothering me, I'll go in and buy you a cheeseburger inside the Carl's Jr., which is on the corner of one of the streets on Market in San Francisco. And so he went in there, and I was standing outside, and some guy walked up to me and kind of pushed me around the corner, and then they stole
Oh
like my
man.
wallet and my phone, and yeah, it was just. And then when I came back around, like all frazzled, my buddy wasn't still in the Carl's Jr., and I couldn't get a hold of him because I didn't have a phone, and like I ended up finding him somehow, and it was just this whole
Oh my gosh.
whole thing. But yeah,
So it is really like, and I'm sure you experienced some of this afterwards, but I mean, for me, it really changed the way I could go out in public. Like, I
Mhm.
wasn't sleeping. I was stressed all the time. I was having nightmares that people were coming into my room, that I couldn't see if the door was locked because it had one of those
Yeah.
little twist knobs, the locks on the doorknob that twist,
Uh-huh.
that you can't tell if it's locked, but someone's outside. So, um, yeah, it's a really stressful thing. You
Yeah.
really, it's giving up all your power.
Mhm.
You have nothing, and you're hoping that this person just doesn't make a bad decision.
Right, just
I mean,
takes
they've
what you
already made a
want.
few, but
Right, right.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So they just
yeah,
wanted what? The money in the register or something?
yeah. So they just wanted, they wanted money in the cash register, and then they said that they knew that there was more money, which there always is.
Sure.
There's more money than just what's in the register, because we were a bakery. Well, we're selling cookies for like $2. We got like
Right.
$50 out of the register. But there was more money in the freezer, so he made us go get that. And at that point, I thought, well, I'd seen his face. It took a total of like 15 minutes
Uh-huh.
that he was actually in the bakery. So you just think, your brain goes through, your life really does flash in front of your
Right.
eyes. I swear to God, it's like your brain releases all the chemicals at once so that you can have every resource possible to get out of that situation alive.
I
And
completely agree.
you really do think about, well, what are his shoes like? Is he well off, or is he really desperate? Like, does he look like he's on drugs? Is he acting like he's on drugs, or is he acting like you really do this like bargaining thing in like
Mhm.
hype, like so fast, what are the odds that he really is going to kill me? Like, does it matter to him?
Uh-huh.
So at that
Yeah.
point, I just thought, I'm going to die. This is it. And I just, all you think about is like, how is my family going to find out?
Mhm.
Who's going to tell them?
Right.
And that was the thought that I had
I had
right
like
before he left.
Yeah, I had like a weird calm. It was like like after everything happened, and I don't know if you had the
Yeah.
same experience, but like it was like a weird like sense of like calm. Like it was my buddy's like, wow, you're very like
Hmm.
chill right now for somebody that was just held up at gunpoint. And it was just like I don't know, maybe it was just my because of all
Hmm.
the chemicals like you're saying that were released when it happened, that it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, my body was just trying to react. I don't know if you had that same experience.
It did happen to me. I think it was a little different.
Hmm.
I cried when I got home,
Yeah,
but
I was like
I
shocked when you got
was,
to your house.
yeah, but I was composed and calm
Hmm.
during the event and directly afterward.
Yeah,
And it was
that's
me and my friend Charo. So I was with someone else the whole time, but we had similar experiences where it was calm, but afterward, you know.
yeah, wow. I'm sorry that
So
you went
I
through that. That's crazy.
similarly,
That's not a place I would think you would ever have to run into that situation. A bakery, you know.
yeah,
Wow.
I know it's pretty weird, but it happened, and it really did kind of split my life into before and after. And I just the only thing I think about is how it did really affect my trajectory of what I was doing with my life at the time because I
Hmm.
couldn't really, be in the other band that I had started. I was too overwhelmed, and so I had to move out of that house, and I had to be alone for a while, and I had to regroup on my own. And so, um, yeah, I mean, I think I've since moved on. I feel as whole as I can be,
Hmm.
but it is something that I think informed at least the beginning of this project. Like the first record that we put out was a record that I had written completely by myself,
Hmm.
in that apartment that I'm talking about, which is the apartment I moved out into when I was needing to be by myself, and um, right after the bakery thing happened. So a lot of those songs are about like feeling alone and feeling like my friend group was rejecting me and feeling like I couldn't relate to people because I couldn't, or like feeling like people didn't understand what I was going through because they didn't, because how could they?
Right.
And so a lot of those songs are me trying to convince myself that even if I feel like I'm failing and absolutely sucking at my life, that somehow there's something good going to come out of it.
Hmm.
And I just had to like feel that way for the first record. And since then, that's kind of been, for better or worse, the like underlying concept of all of the songs that have come out of this project is like, oh, this is a shitty thing that happened. How do I make the best of it? And I just have to tell the story and get it out.
Hmm.
And that's been so rewarding for me to have anyone come up to me and say, oh, I heard these lyrics and it really made me feel like a lot of the feelings that I had felt when X, Y, and Z happened. And thank you for saying it. Or I
Hmm.
can relate to this. Or, because that connection is ironically what I was missing after I got held up at gunpoint, after
Hmm.
I was feeling isolated. So all of these songs have really been a great way for me to help connect with people, um, again, I guess.
Hmm.
So that really is the origin story of this band
Wow.
that is now.
And then
Yeah.
so the first album, Falling is Like Flying, that was all recorded
Hmm.
by you, you said?
So that was all written.
Oh, written by you,
Um,
sorry.
I wrote all of that, alone in an apartment in
Hmm.
Silver Lake, and it was recorded by Will Kennedy, and engineered by Will Kennedy, and um, I did a small Kickstarter for that one, and that one was brought to life in like, oh my gosh, 2013 or 14.
Hmm.
I put that out, and then the second full length record, um, was a little bit of a different process, but
Okay.
each record has been a little different because this band has had a kind of a rotating cast of people
Hmm.
in and out of it over the years, and I've kind of been the consistent person,
Hmm.
um, and the main songwriter of it. But now we're trying to get a more solid group together, and Chris Clark is the other member right now. He plays bass. Um, and my friend Mike Diggs plays drums most of the time, and we're trying to convince him to join it. Mike, if you're listening, uh, join the band, dude. But we have a lot of fun together, and it's kind of been a nice group, that trio that we've kind of settled on in the most recent months.
Nice.
Yeah.
After you put out that first the first album, did you tour on the record at all, or what were you doing after
So
you put that out?
yeah, after I put that out, I didn't know what to do. Like a lot of musicians, I thought, I did it. And then little did I know, my work was just getting started. I should have toured it more than I did. And I didn't get a chance to really play a lot of those songs until 2015 when I was playing. And it was an accident again, it was a crazy accident. I was playing keyboards for What's Eating Gilbert at the time, which is Chad Gilbert from Newfound Glory,
Okay.
his side project. And so I was on tour with them, playing keyboard with Anthony Ranieri and John Allison Weiss. And that was in 2015. And What's Eating Gilbert had to drop off of the tour. And Anthony, who was the headliner at the time, Anthony and I had spent a lot of time, as much as you can, over like 2 or 3 days, really like connecting with music and sharing music and talking. And he asked me if I wanted to keep going on the tour and open as Tiny Stills, because he had heard some of the songs off of the first record and said that he liked them and wanted to see if, I wanted to keep touring. And at that point, I didn't have any merch with me. I didn't have any t-shirts. I didn't have anything. So I said yes, because that's an amazing opportunity.
Sure.
And John Allison, who is also a graphic designer, was like, "Hey, I have these extra shirt designs. Do you want to use one of these?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So John Allison Weiss helped me get my first t-shirt together. I had some friends from back home ship me some records that I had, CDs really. But for the first couple shows, I was writing all of my handles, at Tiny Stills on bar napkins and handing them out at the bar in Florida where we played in Ybor, handing out napkins to people because I didn't have anything, and people would come up and ask for merch. I didn't have anything because I was so new at the time. So that tour in 2015, I learned a lot about touring from Anthony and John Allison. And they really, both of them have like took me under their wings kind of and showed me a good way to operate as a musician with like a tour and release schedule and all that. So I'm lucky that I had them and that opportunity was there.
That's cool. Yeah, and I had a chance to interview Anthony for this podcast, and he's so cool. I couldn't believe how nice he is.
Yeah, we really connected on that tour, and he is definitely a nice guy and good intentioned, and we argued a lot on that tour too, because we drove together, me and him, the whole time. So he insisted on driving the whole time because he wanted to, and he just would talk we would talk the whole tour. We shared music and stuff, but we argued about everything there is to argue about. And it was amazing, to the point where we would start playing shows and we would start giving each other a hard time. Our stage banter kind of included everyone on that tour. It wasn't like we would get up and each of us would play an individual set. We would be yelling at each other in between songs. And it was actually like a really, really fun tour. And I think if you have a tour like that where you have camaraderie with everyone on the bill, it's a very lucky experience, because that doesn't always happen, and you don't always get to, be as close as friends as like me and Anthony and John Allison got to be over those couple months that we had toured together. So it was really fun, and I have nothing but great things to say about them.
That's awesome. How were you able to play keys with Chad's band?
So John Allison, I actually play keys for John Allison. So
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So I played for them for a tour cycle the year before. So they put out a new record on Side One Dummy, and I toured that record with them full US, and I was playing keys for them and guitar, like aux parts and background vocals. And they actually suggested to Chad, they threw my name in the ring when Chad asked if they had any idea of like, we need another keyboard player. Do you know anybody? And so
that's cool.
My name got thrown in. So then I was like, okay, cool. I get to tour with you, but with them, okay, fine. Like, let's do it. Sounds fun.
Did you play with both John Allison and Chad's band, or no, just his band on the tour?
So that one, John Allison did acoustic. So it was an all acoustic tour. Anthony was acoustic, John Allison was acoustic, and What's Eating Gilbert was the only full band.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of an interesting put together, but so I didn't play anything with John Allison that tour. I just
Got
kind
it.
of like hung out. And,
Yeah. How did you meet
I
him
actually
originally?
played their guitar.
Oh, you did? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Through mutual friends. Before John Allison was living in New York at the time, and I had heard of their music and loved it.
Mhm.
And met them after they moved to LA. I was already living in LA.
Cool.
So yeah, just through mutual friends. And you know, LA is weird like that. You kind of just run into people through parties, and if you play music, eventually you just kind of end up saying hi to everyone, and it's a small world, really.
Sure.
Yeah. But it was cool. It was a
Yeah.
good time.
So that was that you said that was before you put out the second record then?
Yeah, that was before the second record.
Okay.
And then
You said the second record was a bit different than the first?
yeah, I had a different idea of what I wanted to do
Okay.
after that. And then I came home from that tour, did a Kickstarter for a new record, and that was Laughing into the Void.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up making that kind of a little haphazardly because the studio I had originally booked for it ended up not having all of its not being finished. They were renovating, and the timeline wasn't going to work out. So that got recorded in a bunch of different places all over LA.
Oh,
And
okay.
we put that out in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got EPs that we're putting out on Wiretap Records. We've done a few. We did a split with Odd Robot that we put out last year. I don't know, the world 2019. Yeah. What year is it? A split we did with Odd Robot, which has one of our singles, Everything's Going Great,
Mm-hmm.
on it. And then we're releasing a bunch of new music this year that was originally supposed to be out in April because we had a tour planned around it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Obviously.
we all know
Yeah.
COVID happened and everything's canceled. So we're releasing singles every month for the rest of the year.
Oh, cool.
In theory. That's the goal. So we're going to try to put out a single every month until we do get to tour again.
That's cool.
So
is there a specific day that you're doing it every month or no?
You know, there should be, but there's not. We're doing the August 7th. We have a new single coming out, and September 25th.
Oh, cool.
But it's basically a month spread apart.
Mm-hmm.
So we did this last one June 26th. And then based on like some release issues or whatever that's going on, we just decided to spread it out with whatever dates worked for all of us. So August 7th and September 25th, we have 2 new songs coming out.
Awesome.
So
the latest one that you have out is called Craigslist Bed?
Sure is.
Tell me about that song. I love the title.
Yeah, so I've been pretty public, but I got a divorce last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this specific song is just about, you know, the things that you have to go through when you split your life up with someone. You know, little things that shouldn't be a big deal kind of end up being a reminder of you feeling like, you know, your life is falling apart. Like, for example, having to get new keys made, and then you have all these extra keys on your key ring, and you're like, wow, which key is the right key? I don't know. I haven't taken the other ones off yet. And like, this song was inspired because I didn't have a bed, and the apartment that I moved into, which is a garage, had a bed left over from a previous tenant. And I was like, hey, can I have this? And they were like, yeah. And so I was like, cool, because I don't have a bed. And if this one's like doesn't have bugs, I will take this bed. And they were like, yeah, it's a good bed. You should check it out. And so I did, and it's fine bed, and it's the bed that I sleep on every day.
Still have it?
And I still have it. It is a good bed. Let me tell you, the little plastic zip mattress covers you can get at Target, they will save a life. Just get one of those. You just throw it on there. It's a new bed. I got a topper on there. It's like I'm not even touching the old bed. It's like my bed.
Well,
you know what
good.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel good about it, but it's just like those things you don't think you're going to have to buy again. You're like, oh, I have a bed.
Right.
You know, or like I have a trash can. Like, what? I have to buy a new trash can. And then it's expensive. Like breaking up is expensive when you live with someone
Mhm.
and you share your life with them, and then you have to start over, and
Totally.
it's
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, so
So
that's what it's about.
yeah. So you didn't get to take anything with you. It was just. You
No, I mean, I took the silverware.
I was gonna say,
Um,
did you have to get silverware and
no,
pots and
I had
pans?
silverware. I got my desk. I kept my desk my whole life. I've had the same desk since I moved to LA.
Nice.
Um, I knew which pots and pans were mine. The guitars were mine. But it's just like these other little things. Like I didn't have a bed, which is actually a big deal because when you think about being comfortable, you get disrupted and you have to find comfort wherever you can. But to me, the bed really signified like, oh, I really do have to get my shit together. I feel totally lost. So that was really the inspiration behind some of these songs that we have
Mhm.
coming out this year.
So you said a new song every month until you can tour
Every
again.
month.
Do you have how many?
That's the goal.
So do you have enough songs for a whole record, and you were going to scrap the record because of the situation because you can't tour it?
Yeah, we originally were going to do our April tour, come home, do a Kickstarter, and do a full length record. So we
Okay.
have a ton of songs like kind of started and banked, and we have three that we finished, and we were going to put out as an EP in April to kind of promote the tour. But now I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the studio, hopefully in a safe way, sometime in the next few months, if we can, and kind of get some of these other songs so we can just have some kind of momentum, because it's been really hard to feel like I don't know about you, but I think a lot of people went into 2020 being like, this is my year,
Yeah,
you
a
know,
lot of people
and
did.
and I was one of those people for
Mhm.
sure, because I was like, we've got these songs, they're so good, I love them. We're going to go on tour. We had our first full US tour with Wiretap Records. We were going to do like a co-headline tour with one of our label mates, and we had it booked, and we were going to do a Kickstarter, and we were going to put out a full length, and then we had La Escalera Fest in San Diego. We were going to play
Oh,
Fest,
you were gonna play
you
that.
know. Yeah.
I'm in San Diego. I know all about the La
Oh,
Escalera Fest. That's
there you
awesome.
go. So we were like, I was like, cool, like we'll play that, and like that's gonna be awesome. That got canceled, and then, I was like, this is not the year.
Right.
you
I
know,
know.
I got a bed, but I lost everything else. So, I was really gonna dig in as much as I could into playing music and doing all this, but it all got pushed back.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a bummer. We do have the songs though, and I feel like I'm finally getting a good grasp on the kind of music that connects with people. I
Mhm.
feel like I'm finally getting into like the groove of it, and man, what a what a what a tease 2020 was,
I
you know.
know. Yeah. I know everybody I think
So
had that same like it's a new, new decade, we're all ready for it and wow. What a nightmare it's been.
it's been really hard for a lot of people,
Wow.
and I know a lot of people are out of work and a lot of people are struggling, and I was like, there's no way we're going to do a Kickstarter. This is crazy. How can you ask people to, help support this? This feels so frivolous. And then you look at like everything that happened with Black Lives Matter and,
Mhm.
the protests and everything. And I was like, this is, you are, for me as an artist, if you are not contributing to a better, bigger solution and saying something that's important that needs to be said, like, why are you doing it? If you're not looking at the bigger picture and trying to support everything that's going on, or at least contribute to it in a way that is helpful, it's hard to focus on doing things like singing songs about breakups, when you look at these things going on in the world.
Mhm.
And at the time, yeah, that was what was going on with me, and I share the stories that I know, but I think current climate, it's so difficult to focus, and I understand that. And it's so difficult to feel like you're making a difference. You feel
Sure.
like a drop in the ocean.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but I get it, and I'm trying to. I think we're trying to put out music so that we can keep connecting with people and hopefully, ideally, and not detract from some of these larger issues that have been going on for forever,
Mhm.
you know, that have seemingly no answers. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
it's frustrating. But I'm trying to not detract from that and simply just connect with people like I always have wanted to, with some of these newer songs.
Mhm.
But as we keep going and writing, I mean, I think it's hard. You have to be affected by what's going on in the world,
Mhm.
you know, and be a reflection of that. And I don't know what that means for us, but it's just something that's always affected me.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
see.
yeah, that's exciting. At least you know you got some new songs coming out. Have you been doing any of the like? Have you been going live on your Instagram or anything like that?
Not a ton. I
Mhm.
went on Instagram Live to trim my bangs. I gave myself a COVID cut.
That's
Um,
cool.
You know what I mean? Like I bleached my hair and dyed it and cut it all off, you know, like so many other people did because I was having like a crisis, you know,
uh,
multiple.
you did that on
Um,
you did that on Instagram
no,
Live.
I just only a little bit. I
Oh.
didn't do the like not. I was scared to do all of it, but you know, I really do want to be doing some more live streams. It's again in the past few months, it's been like I can't be a voice detracting from other voices at this current moment. Like, I think when COVID happened and everyone was quarantined, everyone was live streaming, and it was like so flooded. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I don't know if anyone's gonna listen to or care about what I have to say. I've done a few, I've done 2 live streams since it's quarantines happened,
Mhm.
and it's been awesome. I've loved them, but I haven't done a few more than 2, and it hasn't felt right to do it. But in the future, yes, hopefully I will. Just I
Cool.
don't know when.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you
Yeah.
had a chance to play Craigslist Bed for anyone yet, as far as live.
I haven't. We've played it live at shows as a full band,
Oh, you
but we
have.
haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't done it acoustic yet. So I'll have to arrange it, do something cool, make an acoustic version of it because we haven't actually been together. The music video we made for Craigslist Bed, we all shot in our own apartments,
Really?
and
And then what?
we
Just
were
edit it
not.
together?
Yeah, I edited it together. I had Mike and Chris send me all their footage, and we made a music video for it. But we didn't see each other throughout that whole process. So
Wow.
we've been very, very, you know, solo. Like we haven't seen each other for months, and LA's really bad with COVID. It's a hot spot.
Mhm.
I'm not going out if I don't have to. Like I'm trying to be safe.
That's good. That's
So
smart. Yeah, I know LA
yeah,
and we're in San Diego. They're closing down everything again. I don't know if you saw that earlier.
I did. I saw that they're closing bars and restaurants right
Yeah, bars and
now.
restaurants again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So it really is. I'm scared for my family and all my friends' families and my friends. I have a lot of friends who are my cousin and my uncle and aunt got sick.
Oh my.
They're okay. They're okay. But my brother's a respiratory therapist in Iowa, and you know, he's going to be dealing with all this. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Is he like
yeah.
overwhelmed with people?
Well, luckily Iowa is not, you know, a huge, massive hotspot, but he's actually on medical leave right now because he has had some health issues that he's dealing with, but he'll be back on the job in the next 6 weeks, I think.
Wow.
So he kind of missed the first wave, but in some ways, I think the second wave might be worse. So
Yeah, that's
I'll
what they're
be,
saying. So hopefully.
I'm thinking about him and I'm thinking about, you know, everyone. I think all of us are going to have someone personal that we know, you know, affected by this if we don't already.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I know.
how can we not? So
Yeah, with the severity of it and how contagious it is, it's only going to be a matter of time. You know, it's
yeah,
pretty crazy.
I know.
But yeah,
I really feel for everyone, but
I love the video though for Craigslist Bed. I was watching it earlier with the drummers like in the
Thank you.
bathroom playing on the.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Mike, do you have somewhere cool you can like set your drums up? He was like, what about the bathroom? I was like, okay, that sounds cool. Is it going to be like funny? He's like, yeah. And if you look close enough, you'll realize he's not wearing pants. And
Oh.
I didn't realize he wasn't wearing pants until I get to like the end and I like zoom in and I'm like, Mike, weird, like, because he's wearing like a pink colored shirt.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of like, you don't notice it at first. And then I got to the end of this editing and I was like, oh, Mike doesn't have pants on. The whole video.
That's so
I should
funny.
tweet that later. I
You
feel like
should.
people don't know.
You'd have to really look for it. That's funny.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's so true. Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Kaylin, for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me and taking the time to talk to me.
Of
I know it's a
course.
crazy time, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, my advice for aspiring artists is that there is no one out there who knows what they're talking about. And you cannot listen to what anyone else has to tell you. And you have to do what it is that you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it. Because no one's advice is going to be good, even mine. Truly, I've taken so much advice and I wish I didn't. So, wish I hadn't taken that. But that's the only thing I can tell people who ask me that.